What's up everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we have you central midfielders that ranges from centre defensive mids, centre mids and centre attacking mids. If you want to check out goalkeepers, centre backs, left backs and right backs, then I'll leave a link in the description below so you can take a look. I'm going to be giving my estimate of what I think their potential is going to be. However, I've put a minimum boundary, so if it's 85 plus, chances are he may go to an 86 or an 87, even 88. It just depends on how much you use the player and whether you use the training system on them. Anyway, getting into the video. The first centre defensive mid that we have is William Carvalho. William Carvalho is a good solid centre defensive mid to have, and coming from the Portuguese league he'll be relatively cheap to get hold of. At 23 years of age is definitely a solid bargain, and with defensive and physical stats like that it will be a brute to have there. The next player on the list is Danilo. The young Brazilian from Valencia has good physical and defensive stat and is relatively good at dribbling for a defensive midfielder. However, his pace, shooting and passing aren't the best, but that will all come with his potential. At 78 rating he'll fit into any mid-table side and will be a relatively good player for a big club for their future team. Moving on, we have Sal. I love this guy on FIFA 15 and he went up to an 85 plus. He's definitely a good Spaniard to have in your team, and at 76 rating again he's a good mid-table. At the age of 20 he's got lots of room to grow and he has good solid stats. And if I can remember correctly, he's a very versatile player, so he can play in more than one position, so you don't have to actually play him in centre defensive mid. The final centre defensive mid on the list is a Liverpool player known as Chan. The 21-year-old is another versatile player who can fill in at centre back as well. 75 rating isn't the best for a starting player, but his potential will be relatively high and will be definitely good for the future. Next up, we take a look at centre mids. There'll be a few more centre mids to look at than centre defensive mids, because centre defensive mids don't seem to be too popular nowadays with young players. The first players we're going to look at is Pogba, Verratti and Thiago. They're all good ratings and solid stats to start off with, so they're the obvious players that are bound to go up to a 90. I mean, just looking at Pogba's card for a 22-year-old, you just don't need to say anything else really. Next up is the man himself, Kovacic. Earning his big money move to Real Madrid is bound to increase his potential, and he's been one around on FIFA for ages with high potential. Most people get bored of how good his potential is, but he is the go-to man, and that's not changing in this FIFA, especially after the big money move. The next player we're going to take a look at is Tolisso. I think Tolisso is going to be a fan favourite on FIFA 16, as his rating last year was only 64, going up 13 ratings in one season. This is bound to add to his potential. 77 ratings good enough to fit into any mid-table side, and his potential is only going to increase, so it's up to you whether you use him or not, or find someone better. The next two players on the list are two 18-year-olds. The first of the two is Tielemans, another player that's been around for FIFA for a couple of seasons and has high potential each time. At 76 he may take a couple of seasons to fit into a good team, but he's definitely one to buy and keep for the future. The Belgians seem to have quite a few good youngsters, so they just keep rolling in. And the next of the two that we're going to look at is the 18-year-old from Ajax. Again, as you saw in the previous videos, Ajax have quite a few youngsters that are coming through the ranks. At 18 and being a 75 rated, you can't go wrong. Again, like Tielemans, he won't fit into a first team straight away, but he's one for them to keep for the future. Moving on to a couple of the lower rated centre mids on the list, we start with Højbjerg of Bayern Munich. The young lad is only 20 years old and has very solid stats for a 20-year-old. 73 rating isn't the best to get into a team, but he's definitely one that I'll be looking at to hold for a future player, and he's definitely going to have good solid stats. I believe he's relatively versatile as well, so he may be a more attacking player or a more defensive player depending how you use him. Next up, he hasn't been too good on FIFA career mode, but he's definitely a football manager wonder kid. Vilhena of Feyenoord, another Dutch youngster, 20 years old, has very solid stats. Again, another player that you'll look to keep for the future, but he will definitely develop into a very solid midfielder to keep in any team. And then the final player of the lower rated players is Halilovic. Getting that move to Barcelona a couple of seasons ago, he's now gone out on loan. The 19-year-old has very good stats and is a very solid player. Another versatile player who's bound to go up and have a high rating, but it may take a couple of seasons for him to get there. But the previous three players would definitely benefit from the training scheme. The final page for the central midfielders are going to be honourable mentions. These are players that have had high potential on FIFA 15, and it will be debatable whether they go any higher, as previous cards on previous FIFAs, there haven't been too much of a gap between them going into the next FIFA. João Mario, Bentaleb and Goretzka are all young players that will have relatively solid stats, and they'll be good purchases for any mid to lower league table. Last batch of players that we're going to take a look at are central attacking midfielders. The next two pages are going to be your obvious ones that are already a high rating, and their age just means they're going to get even better. Rodriguez, not much more needs to be said. De Bruyne had a big money move. Götze has kind of slowed down recently, but that's not going to affect his potential. I think being in the ranks of Bayern Munich haven't helped too much. And then the next three that we're going to take a look at is Isco, Coutinho and Eriksen. All young players with a good rating at the moment, so their potential is only going to increase. The previous 6 players are all definitely going to get to an 88 or above. Rodriguez, De Bruyne will most likely get to 90s, and Götze, Isco, Coutinho and Eriksen may push it depending how many seasons you play with them and how much you use them, and whether the training system works on them. Next up we have Barkley. Barkley didn't have the best of season for Everton last year, but I don't think Everton did either. However, he started sharp this year, and I don't think his potential will be affected by it. A young England lad is what EA loves, so I think his potential will be 84 plus. He may even get to an 86, it depends how much you use him again. Now we take a look at the young Spaniard from Atletico Madrid. Oliver Torres, 79 rating, 20-year-old. Good solid rating for his age. 84 dribbling, 77 passing as well for a 79 rating is good, so he can only grow. He may cost a bit to prize away from Atletico, but shouldn't be a problem depending if you want to use him or not. Next is a personal favourite of mine, Çalhanoğlu, best free kick taker in the game, and with stats like that for a 21-year-old you can't go wrong. Other than his physical and his defence, which you don't expect too much from an attacking midfielder, he is a good player to have. It depends whether you want to sim a season or play your games, but if you're playing them, he is a good solid creator to go in any side, and he's going to have a good potential on him. I also believe he's linked with EA because he was at the Vancouver event for the pre-launch of FIFA, so I think if you're linked with them they might give you a higher potential like a couple of the others are going to have. Next is another young lad that started at an early age, 19-year-old Maya from Schalke, 78 rated, good solid stats for a creative midfielder. He's slowed down a bit recently, but I think that came with the expectations of how good he was going to be, and I doubt that's going to affect his potential. I can see him getting a future move to another big club, perhaps Munich. In the German league they kind of switch between German sides rather than going abroad. Next we take a look at Denis Suarez. The 21-year-old from Villarreal recently got his move there from Sevilla. He's looked sharp for them so far and has made it into the first team, and he's got good solid stats. He'll be another good one for the future and one to keep hold of definitely if you're looking to build a strong squad. And because of his move you won't be able to get him straight away, but he may go up to an 80 come the second season if you try and look at him. Another 19-year-old from the list, Stendera from Frankfurt, is another solid player. All stats above 70 other than his defence and physical, but you don't need that for a central attacking midfielder. Because of them stats he looks like he's going to be a very creative player and a good one for the future, especially at that age. 74 rating fit into any mid-league table side straight away, but he may be one you want to keep and put on loan or keep for the future. Next up, 20-year-old, another Ajax youngster, another Dutch youngster, Sint-Graven. I think he was a high potential on FIFA 15, but he's definitely another one that's going to have a high potential on FIFA 16 career mode, and he's one that you keep for the future again. So he will be relatively cheap. I think him and Stendera will be relatively cheap, so it may be worth investing in them early so they're not high ratings at a young age later on in the career. we've now come to the end of the video and we've taken a look at a lot of players, so thank you for watching for this long. My previous video with left back and right back, so if you want to take a look, click the image. I also covered the centre backs and goalkeepers, so I'll leave a link in the description below, like I said earlier. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more, then I've got it coming out soon, and I've got a couple of other series lined up, so I hope you will like them. If you do, please subscribe, it will mean a lot if you do. But other than that, thanks for watching, have a good day.